This is Greg Locke. He is a hate preacher, a televangelist, megachurch pastor kind of person. He's got an extremely loud shirt, as you can tell. And he's about to talk about the Israel-Palestine situation happening right now. Of course, he comes out hard in favor of Israel. I mean, what else would you expect from this dude? He is a far-right extremist Christian who believes Israel has to exist as a state for the apocalypse to come, and he definitely wants the apocalypse to come. He is an apocalyptic Christian, is what it's called, an apocalypticist. This isn't part one. In the previous one, he talked about trans issues and drag queens and stuff. If you didn't see that one, don't sweat it. This stands independently of that. I'll provide context if it's missing. But yeah, he's about to get into Israel, Palestine, and how much he absolutely hates Palestine and hopes bad things happen to them. It's psychotic. And while we listen, we're going to play some Pokemon Ultraviolet. It's a ROM hack of Fire Red where I can catch all of the Pokemon. So this is not part one. If you haven't seen the other, don't sweat it. This stands independently of the rest. I'll provide context if it's missing. All right, let's give this a listen.
I will remind you that on 9/11 of 2001, it was the Palestinians that got on national television and was like, woo, America is coming down. Death to America. Death to America.
Palestinians? Hang on. Let me just fact check this, because I don't know about that. I think every single country gave a reaction. All 100 and whatever, 90-something that existed at the time, they all gave a reaction to what happened on 9/11, and it was all positive toward America, negative toward terrorism. Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak called a cabinet meeting after the attacks. Mubarak said that Egypt firmly and strongly condemned such attacks on civilians and soldiers that led to the deaths of a large number of innocent victims. His Minister of Foreign Affairs, Amr Musa, was more measured, calling the attacks regrettable. Okay. Indonesia, largely Muslim population. President Megawati Sukarnoputra, I'm sorry, I don't know, something. I'm just going to call him Megawati, expressed public support for a global war on terrorism and promised to implement United Nations counterterrorism resolutions. However, the Indonesian government opposed unilateral U.S. military action in Afghanistan and thus took limited action in support. So, the largest Muslim country, Indonesia, came out in support of anti-terrorist action, basically. Iran, you'd think they'd be in favor of this, right? But they're Shiite Muslims versus Sunni, and Sunnis are the ones that actually orchestrated the 9/11 attack. Iran fought ISIS and the types of people that engaged in this terrorist action. So I haven't seen what their reaction was. Let's read and see. I'm going to guess it was negative toward the 9/11 attackers. Iranian President Mohammad Khatami and Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei condemned and denounced the attacks and the terrorists who carried them out. Iranians who gathered for a soccer match in Tehran 2 days after the 9/11 attacks observed a moment of silence. There was also a candlelight vigil. Huge crowds attended candlelight vigils in Iran, and 60,000 spectators observed a minute's silence at Tehran's soccer stadium. On September 25th, 2 weeks later, Khamenei, which is the religious leader because it's a theocracy. Khamenei's the religious leader and technically above the president. The president, I believe right now, is Rouhani. And he does administrate and run things largely, but Khamenei has final say on a lot of stuff. If you want a nuclear deal with Iran, you need to convince Khamenei, not Rouhani, the president. Anyway, it says, 2 weeks after September 11th, Khatami meeting British Foreign Secretary Jack Straw said Iran fully understands the feelings of the Americans about the terrorist attacks in New York and Washington on September 11th. He said, although the American administrations had been at best indifferent about terrorist operations in Iran since 1979, the Iranians instead felt differently and had expressed their sympathetic feelings with bereaved Americans in the tragic incidents in the two cities. Yeah, so something to know about Iran. You would think that they would be like super in favor of terrorist attacks, but actually Iran used to be a secular society largely, and the United States back, I think it was in the 50s, maybe 60s, 70s, the U.S. created a dictatorship out of Iran by installing a dictator named the Shah of Iran. And the dude is a complete monster, but he was a U.S. puppet. Eventually, there was basically a religious revolt in Iran, and the Khomeini family came to power. The Khomeini that took power at that time is not the same one. I think this is the grandson, or maybe the son, of the original Khomeini that took power and kicked the Shah of Iran out. I'm sorry, the Shah of Iran. Anyways, just a little bit of Iranian history there. Let's see. A group of Palestinians were filmed celebrating in the street after hearing the local news reports of attacks on the World Trade Center and the deaths of thousands of Americans. Are Palestinians Shiite or Sunni? The difference between Sunni and Shiite are basically the religious line that they believe should have taken power, the line of succession after Muhammad died. It's different. It's based on like his first in command or his son or his whatever, you know. Mormonism dealt with the same kind of battle. The largest denomination among Palestinian Muslims are Sunnis. So yeah, okay, that checks out. That makes sense. I didn't realize that they were Sunni largely. Sunni Muslims are what formed out ISIS and absolutely hate the United States by and large. But the Palestinians, for the most part, especially right now, they don't have the energy, time, or resources to devote to anything except survival. So a group of them were filmed celebrating. Fox reported that in Ain el-Hilweh, Lebanon's largest Palestinian refugee camp, revelers fired weapons in the air with similar celebratory gunfire also heard at the Rashidi camp near the southern city of Tyre. Or Tyre, depends on your pronunciation. I think the American one is Tyre, but they pronounce it Tyre over there. Kind of like Qatar and Qatar. So it sounds like Palestinians, there were some celebrations from Palestinians, and it was heavily played up by Fox News. The Palestinian National Authority, which I guess was the government in Palestine, attempted to censor and discredit broadcasts and other Palestinian news reports justifying the attacks in America, with many newspaper, magazines, websites, and wire services running photographs of Palestinian public celebrations. Okay, so fair enough. You know what? Greg said that Palestinians celebrated. It appears as though they did. I mean, the official government did not, but largely the people did. Again, it makes sense. They were Sunni.
I will remind you that today...
Oh, by the way, one more thing before we continue on. I just want to say, I don't give a shit if they celebrated on 9/11. It means nothing to me. Human life comes before everything. Them celebrating on 9/11 does not justify their death. What is wrong with you?
There are people in this nation that call themselves blood-bought, born-again, Bible-believing children of God that hate the nation of Israel, and they stand openly and publicly with known terrorists that are chopping infants' heads off.
Okay, who? What are you talking about? Bible-believing Christians stand with terrorists? I don't understand. And for the record, that chopping... Wait, what was it?
There are people in this nation that call themselves blood-bought, born-again, Bible-believing children of God that hate the nation of Israel, and they stand openly and publicly with known terrorists that are chopping infants' heads off.
Okay, that infant thing, that's not been proven by anybody. Now, I get it. Those infants died. You know, babies did die as a result of Hamas's actions. That's true. But this is how propaganda works right here. You take a bad situation and you twist it just a little bit to make it seem worse than it actually was. It was already bad. But when you call out propaganda and point out that it's happening, suddenly you seem like a terrible person because it's no better. Babies still died, right? This is how people propagandize. This is how propaganda spreads, and that is why Israel spread the idea that babies, lost their heads like that, and offered absolutely zero proof when push came to shove. Zero evidence of that. None. Let me show you another example of propaganda in this exact same style. Listen to, this is Flashpoint. It's a TV show. It's like a far-right Trump-supporting TV show, right? I thought about how to present this to you to make you realize what's actually being said. You know what? Just listen to what they say here, and then I'll explain what's actually happening. Bear in mind, what's really happening is completely different than what they describe, of course.
Watch this video. This is University of Wisconsin. The protest, which that's part of being an American. You can protest. Glory to the murders. Yeah, that's what I said. Watch.
Glory to the murders! Glory to the murders! Do you know what he's saying when we say, we will liberate the land?
Well, anyway, the rest is unimportant. The point here is the glory to the murders part. Is that what she said? No, it's not, as a matter of fact. This is a group of Palestinians who believe that they are being killed in Palestine because of what they believe. Simply because they're not Jewish, they're being killed. And that makes them martyrs. They died for their beliefs. That's martyrdom. She's saying, glory to the martyrs who were just killed for their beliefs in Palestine. The innocent people who didn't do shit to anybody. That's what she's actually saying. Now listen again, and you'll hear it.
Glory to the murders!
Glory to the martyrs, not murders, martyrs. You can clearly hear it, clear as day, now that you know what you're listening for, right?
Glory to the murders! Glory to the murders! Do you know what?
So, anyways, that's how propaganda works. Is it any better that she's saying glory to the martyrs? Not a whole lot. I guess a little bit, yeah. That makes it hard to defend. It makes it difficult to call out. When people like these guys right here claim something really, really horrific. Now back to Greg Locke, what he was saying. Did babies die? Yeah, they did. Horrifically, disgustingly, evilly. That shouldn't have happened. None of that should have happened. Those babies did not deserve to die. They're innocent. Completely 100% innocent. Did they cut their heads off? No. There's no evidence of it, at the very least. Until Israel provides me evidence, I'm not believing a word out of their mouth. Because this is the kind of thing they do. The Israeli government, specifically. They spread propaganda like this. They twist it just a little bit to make it that much worse. And it takes root in the Republican Party. Anyways, yeah, you got to be careful. You know what? The fact that propaganda is coming out like this in the first place makes me automatically want to side with whoever is not propagandizing to that degree. I know Palestine has a lot of propaganda too. Like I said, it's mostly going to Muslims in the Middle East, not really to the West. But when I see this kind of propaganda coming out, it's just disgusting.
Which, by the way, they didn't kidnap the babies just to chop their heads off. They said themselves on national television, it was revealed. The reason they kidnapped them babies was to rape and humiliate.
Oh, give me a break. No, it was not. Who said that, Greg? Who said it was revealed, he says. It was said on national television. It was revealed. Just complete nonsense, dude. Give me a break. See, he's taking that extra step, making it that much worse. The babies died. It's already bad. But he wants to make it really bad. This dude has got, a really sick mind. Is it just me? Yeah, what channel was that on, Greg? National TV, you say? Fox News said this as well. The clip has, 2 million views. Interesting. Well, you know something that I learned, actually, from that other video that I was showing you a minute ago. I was prepping this video to watch it with you guys. And I decided to watch Greg Locke instead. But I was prepping hard, and I found this little section where they quote children from Palestine. Let me find it. Hold on, I gotta find it. Wait, here it is. Okay. Listen to what these kids say. I'll read it with you. Listen to what these kids say. We have to make war. Harb is war in Arabic, so that's correct. To prove that we are stronger than the Jews. So what did she really say? She repeated a word 3 times there. Did you catch that? There's no repeated word anywhere in this translation. Well, I got a translating app that you can just play the audio into the app and it'll translate it for you. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I struggled. I went through like 3 or 4 different translation apps to try to find out what was being said. And as far as I can tell, what this girl said is, the war is unique to the Jews, not us. It's not. That's the mish thing. Not. The nastiness is not in us. That's what she actually said, as far as I can tell. And they said that, they claimed that she said, we have to make war to prove that we're stronger than the Jews. They're using children in such a callous, disgusting way. Like, how do you do something so depraved as to take a quote from a child and twist it completely out of proportion? That is about as depraved as it gets, right? Is it just me? Like I said, I'm not very good at translating. I did my absolute best. I tried. I even looked up individual words that I could make out and typed them out and figured out what they meant and everything. The thing is, later on in this, they do have children saying things that are like borderline questionable. Basically, everywhere that they say the Jews, blah, 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 they're not saying the Jews. They're saying they, the people fighting us, the people battling us, basically. But when you hear somebody say the Jews lie and say blah, 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 it automatically triggers your anti-Semitism, lizard brain. You pick up on it. You're like, holy shit, this person is just hating on somebody simply because of who they are. It's not the Jews that are doing this, actually. It's Israelis. There's a distinct difference. Israel wants to blend religious belief, their Judaism, and their ethnicity with their country and turn it into like a hyper-nationalist state. That doesn't work on me. I'm sorry, man. Jews are not synonymous with Israel. Criticizing Israel is not the same as being anti-Semitic and attacking Jews as a community, as a belief system. Not the same thing. Kid says, my favorite color is yellow. Flashpoint. Give me a gun and send me to war, right? Exactly. See, Flashpoint and Greg Locke, and others more broadly, do this stuff all the time with English, with American people, with English speakers. They mash the clips together and stick things next to each other to give you a specific idea that doesn't represent reality. They do this all the time. But you have basically no hope of picking up on the subtle nuances of the language that were originally manipulated when it's in Arabic, for example. So Greg Locke says, I remember now what he said. I don't want to rewind that. He basically said that Hamas openly admitted on live TV to wanting to take the babies for other reasons. No. I'm sorry. I just don't believe Greg. I don't believe that there was ever a broadcast like that. And I don't believe that Greg knows Arabic well enough to translate it. And the far right, Greg Locke, Flashpoint, and Fox News and others have a history of changing translations just to give you a more nefarious idea of what's happening. So I'm sorry, man. I can't trust a word out of this dude's mouth, and it's disgusting, some of the stuff they come up with, for real.
I feel like I need a chair. I'm just going to sit down for a few minutes and I'm going to grab this one right here. I'm just going to pastor for a few minutes.
Is that what you're doing right now? Pastoring? Could have fooled me.
I might talk so long, we'll find out who really wants to stick around.
I mean, we know he doesn't pastor for that long. He doesn't pastor at all, really. But let me rephrase. We know he doesn't talk for that long. It's only like, 45 minutes or something from here.
So I'm just measuring my word. Let me scoot back so I can make eye contact with my wife. She'll tell me when I've gone too far. Okay, there we go. Hallelujah.
He never sits in a chair. He's always up here preaching and all that stuff. That's kind of weird to me. Okay.
Y'all good-looking group of people. You know that?
No. Literally no to all of that.
But now we got these people that think we're crazy because we support Israel. But what you read the Bible, no weapon formed against Israel is going to prosper. God supports them too.
But weapons did prosper against Israel. A whole bunch of Israelis died, sadly. What are you talking about? Sengir, my resident German. Sadly, this conflict boiling up again has given rise to anti-Semitism in other countries. In Germany, for example, we had an arson attempt on Jewish facilities in Berlin, I heard. Absolutely psychotic and so sad, man. I heard that people were putting, like, Jew on Jewish storefronts and stuff exactly like what happened in Nazi Germany, horrifically. This is before they were actually hunting them, called the Jew hunt. It was before that took place. They were just marking their stores and stuff. It's just really, really, really bad. Just horrific, disgusting. I don't blame any individual people for anything that's happening right now. I blame governments largely for radicalizing extremists within their country, like the Israelis. They're not Jews. They are Israelis. Don't fall for the propagandistic framing. Like the Israeli government setting this up as them against everybody else and hating anybody who doesn't agree with them on this thing or that thing. It's just really sad.
You remember a couple of months ago, people got all mad. About 3 or 4 months ago, I said, well, you know, this ain't about Ukraine. This is about Israel. You mark my words. And then all of a sudden now it becomes about Israel. Everybody's like, oh, my goodness.
What, Ukraine? About what are you talking about? I'm sorry. Wait a second. Listen to this one more time.
You remember a couple of months ago, people got all mad. About 3 or 4 months ago, I said, well, you know, this ain't about Ukraine. This is about Israel. You mark my words. And then all of a sudden now it becomes about Israel. Everybody's like, oh, my goodness, we can't believe that you're standing for Israel. I can't believe that you're not.
Okay. I don't know what he's saying. Is he saying that when Russia attacked Ukraine, he claimed that the attack was about Israel? No, it wasn't. And no, I don't remember him saying that. I watch a lot of this dude's sermons. That sounds like complete nonsense to me. He's just completely full of shit. Is it just me?
They're cutting babies' heads off, and you're like, you know, support. I say you're like.
Again, this is a piece of propaganda. They take something that's bad enough already, and they make it that much worse. It's important to keep it in context and perspective.
I'm talking about people online and people all around the world. You know, of course, now Black Lives Matter has made their statement. We're with the Palestinians. Of course you are. You've always been terrorists.
That's concerning. He believes Black Lives Matter to be terrorists. Once you dehumanize somebody to a certain degree, you can justify doing anything to them. As Greg Locke said, I think earlier in this sermon, or maybe in another sermon, he said, nobody is innocent in Palestine because they all support terrorists, which makes them terrorists as well, and that makes their lives forfeit, basically. He just said Black Lives Matter supports terrorists and is a terrorist group itself. That means their lives are forfeit too in Greg's mind. Oh, you know what I just remembered? Do you guys remember that video of, All Lives Matter, bow and arrow crowd? Let me see. There's a video. Oh, yes. Oh, my God. I totally forgot about this video until just now. Hold on. Oh, yes. Oh, God. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but... Okay, thank you for updating. All right. There's this video that just made me think of this. This guy, probably a Greg Locke fan, who knows for sure, shows up at a Black Lives Matter rally and yells, "All lives matter," and then shoots a bow and arrow into the crowd.
You call yourself an American?
Yes, I'm American. All lives matter.
All lives matter.
That's right, but they won't matter until we're... Don't you dare! This is his car. This is his car.
Then they, swarmed the guy. See, This is why guns should not be on every street corner and behind every blade of grass right here, okay? Guy yells all lives matter and shoots a bow and arrow into the crowd. Really? I mean, he doesn't see the irony here, does he? It's so stupid, it's comical. June 1st, 2020. Let me write that down. Utah man aims bow and arrow at BLM protesters, fires into the crowd, and yells, all lives matter. By the way, if you want access to my clip collection, you can just go to owenmorgan.com/clips. I make it available to everybody. I upload everything every couple of months based on date. Anyway, pro-lifers can't care about you after you're born. Here is your proof. I disagree with you on the gun stance. I'm from Texas, though, so maybe that's it. Yeah, well, I appreciate the messages there. Right now, let me put it this way. Right now, people to the left of hunting the homeless for sport should probably have guns, too. People on the right shouldn't be the only ones with guns right now. That's probably not a safe or a good idea at all. So at this immediate moment, I suppose that I'm in favor of the left having guns because the right has guns. But I want bills that limit guns, like dramatically. Get as many of them as we possibly can out of people's hands. It's entirely too much at this point. It says well-regulated militia. Well-regulated is the key here. Being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So, well-regulated is important, and militia is the other important part here. Militia. We already have that. It's called the National Guard. Anyway, let's keep listening to Greg.
Black Lives Matter does not care about black people, just like, the Palestinians the Hamas does not really care about the Palestinians. They only care about killing people.
Black Lives Matter cares about killing people? Is that what he said just now? Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe he's saying Palestinians care about killing people, but it sure sounded like he was saying Black Lives Matter does too.
That's it. That's it. So clap, don't clap, throw tomatoes, I don't care. Why you would have one here, I don't know, but
to throw at your ass. Not the brightest bulb in the box there, is he?
I'm dumber than a box of rocks in a lot of areas.
Thank you, Greg, for your contribution to this conversation.
I'm just talking. I'm gonna share something with you. This is interesting, okay? Because some clear lines are being drawn. You understand that? Clear lines are being drawn in this culture. And there are people that are like, oh, yeah, Hamas, that's not that big a deal. Let's support them. They're supporting the...
Who's saying this? Who is in favor of Hamas? Who came out and said, yes, Hamas is great, let's support Hamas? What? For what it's worth, nobody's saying that, first of all. And second, Greg is the only one drawing bright lines in society. He is the one forming out the idea that anybody to the left of him is evil and terrorist and disgusting and blah, 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 blah.
The oppressed, beat down Palestinian people, and Israel are the aggressors. They're the
That's true. They are. They're the aggressors in this... Well, all right, let me rephrase. They're the aggressors, just like Hamas was the aggressor leading up to this attack. Hamas took aggressive action against Israel, and then Israel repelled the attack and became the counter-aggressor at that point. But for what it's worth, Hamas coming in and doing all of that shit to Israel, I'm so sorry that happened to Israelis. So sorry for that. The fact that they did that does not justify genocide against 2.2 million people living in Gaza. Does not justify genocide against innocent civilians. How many babies have died at the hands of Israel now? Not zero.
Occupiers of the land that they've stolen. It's the size of New Jersey.
That's true. Actually, it's a better comparison might be to say that it's the size of Manhattan, roughly. This is New York City right here, and this is just Manhattan Island, and this is Gaza Strip, total Gaza Strip right here. So give you a little idea of how big it is.
Do you know how much land in the Middle East is occupied by Islam.
A lot? Like all of it, nearly?
Country after country after. Matter of fact, 52 of those countries, it's illegal to even talk about Jesus.
I don't even know if that's true. It's illegal to talk about Jesus? I mean, you can't trust a word out of this dude's mouth. Islam is a destructive religion, as many religions are, just about all of them, I'd say. I'm not a fan of Islam. I would like to see a world where Islam didn't exist. Not that Muslims don't exist. I still want those people around. I'm not calling for like a genocide or an attack or something. I just want people to come to their senses and realize how ridiculous this is. Same with Christianity. I would love to live in a world where all Christians, particularly the extremist nutcases like Greg, specifically them, came to their senses and walked away from it. I want to live in that world.
Then 24 other ones that are Islamically run in the regime that are heading that direction.
No, heading that direction. I don't know what he means by that. Also, the largest Muslim state, Indonesia, is not an extremist state, for what it's worth. I don't know about these 24 little countries or 50, whatever, if that's even true. But, yeah, the majority of Muslims don't have a problem with Christians believing what they believe.
And there's one little sliver of land that is the size of New Jersey that the whole world's freaking out about. If you look at a map...
Well, there are 2.2 million people there. So, yeah, I'm kind of freaking out about a genocide against them. A little bit, yeah. It's more densely populated than Manhattan. It's like an open-air prison because Israel controls everything that goes in and out of Palestine, of the Gaza Strip specifically. They control their power, they control their water, they control their everything. 90% of Gaza didn't have clean water before this. I freak out when one person dies, okay? I don't want anybody to die. I am a pacifist. I believe in life as the most valuable, precious, and important thing in the universe. I get that sometimes you have to go to war to defend yourself or whatever, and that's justified. I think that's justified. I'm not a pacifist to the point where I don't think that self-defense is justified. It is. But at a certain point, it's not self-defense. It's horrific, disgusting, evil genocide. You know what? If Ukraine went into Russia and tried to overtake Russia and impose their will on Russian people, I would be opposed to that. I mean, I wouldn't mind it if Vladimir Putin was removed from power in some way. But I don't want a genocide against the Russian people or any people. Nobody. It's psychotic to me that he views things this way. What? Emily Neptune, the 52 countries seem to come from Bible bans. Greg is against banning books now. Yeah, I know, right? Okay, well, Bible bans, that's not good. I don't stand for that. Boom, see? Just like that, I can denounce bad things. I don't even know if that's because of Islam. I mean, is it banned in India? I don't know. I'm just saying, like, this is another good example of Greg Locke twisting things around until it's completely distorted from what it used to be. This is an example of it was already bad. It was already bad. And he wanted to make it worse because making it look worse brings more people to your side. Babies already died, but Greg needs to take that extra step and claim that they lost their heads too. You know, it's the exact same thing.
Everything surrounding Israel is Islamically occupied.
Sure, yeah, I guess so.
And yet they want to claim Israel is aggressing us and oppressing us.
They are. Yes, Israel is oppressing Palestinians. Are you kidding me? Really? Does he not? He has to know that that's what's happening, right?
No. The problem is Israel has a real God that protects them.
And God likes oppressing people. Okay, actually, that logic checks out.
And you're angry because the Baal worship that you have experienced has not allowed the falsity of your God to overthrow a country that's the size of New Jersey, and you flex your arms, but when you do that, we realize just how weak, powerless, and insignificant you really are.
Wait, you flex your arms? And we realize how weak you are? Okay, I guess.
So, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to have to just get into preaching, okay?
Okay, lay it on me, Greg.
Not that I've not done a little bit of it. Did you know I found the word Hamas in the Bible?
Oh, here we go.
It is mentioned in the Bible.
Hamas as a terrorist group did not exist when the Bible was written.
You wonder, where do they get this terminology? They're not that bad. Did you know the Hebrew word Hamas, H-A-M-A-S, the Hebrew word Hamas is mentioned in Genesis 6:11. When God saw that the earth was filled with, here's the Hebrew word, Hamas, violence.
Okay, let's look that up. Genesis 6:11, interlinear Bible. Let's look up the actual original word. Yeah, sure enough. Hamas is Hebrew for violence. What does it mean in Arabic, though, is really the question, because that's the language it originally came from, right? Hamas is an acronym of the Arabic phrase Haraka al-Ma something something, meaning Islamic Resistance Movement. This acronym, HMS, was later glossed in the Hamas covenant by the Arabic word Hamas, which itself means zeal, strength, or bravery. There you go. So Hamas in Hebrew, which is very closely related to Arabic, share a lot of words. Hamas in Arabic means bravery or strength or zeal, and Hamas in Hebrew means violence. It's like that time that Robin Bullock, that televangelist, claimed that Barack Obama's name was in the New Testament, because if you translate the New Testament from Greek to Hebrew and do this thing and that and blah, 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 then you end up with Barack Obama. And it's like, why would you do any of that? Why would you translate it to anything? What? Just nonsense, man. They're two different languages, bro.
Google it right now. I don't care. I used to say, don't Google it while I'm preaching. No, Google it while I'm preaching. You can fact check me while I'm going, Joe Biden.
Joe Biden? You think Joe Biden watches your streams? What? What is he talking about? Yeah, two different languages. They are closely related, share some words, but they don't mean the same thing.
The Hebrew word Hamas is the phrase in Genesis 6:11 for violence.
And the Arabic word Hamas is a word that means bravery or zeal. What's the point here? I don't understand.
You see, God prophetically predicted this a long time ago. You think they accidentally chose that word?
No, they chose it specifically because it means bravery. You know, there are other terrorist groups like Boko Haram, which literally translates to unclean book, basically, or evil book, dirty book. That's another terrorist group in that area. They all base their names off of things that they believe in or the qualities that they think that they hold or whatever. And Hamas picked their name because they think that they're zealous and brave and righteous or whatever. Is there anything surprising about any of this? What does Hezbollah mean, actually? Let me look. Did you know that ISIS is actually referred to as Daesh, D-A-E-S-H, in Arabic? That's the Arabic name for ISIS. We call them ISIS. They don't call themselves that. Let's see. Hezbollah word meaning. Oh, interesting. Hezbollah is apparently Shia, not Sunni. I had no idea that they were Shia. Huh. In Lebanon. So by all accounts, Hezbollah and Hamas should hate each other. Hezbollah literally in Arabic means party of God. Hezbollah Hebrew meaning. Yeah, it doesn't appear. Hezbollah doesn't appear to have like an Hebrew analog or a Hebrew equivalent or whatever. Hamas seems to be the only one that does.
Talk about them doing these atrocities, and lukewarm Christians will defend them and want to crucify me in our church.
I don't want to crucify anybody. What the hell are you talking about? And I have no problem condemning terrorists.
And then for those of us that are righteously ticked off over it, and we should be, if you're not mad about that, something's wrong with your spirituality or the lack of it.
Sure, yeah, I'm ticked off about it. I have no spirituality. I'm still ticked off by it. I mean, that's not even the right word. I'm disgusted by what Hamas did.
But here's things just keep coming to me. So here's what really gripes me, right?
Things keep coming to him. He just keeps going.
Here in America, we can hear about Hamas violence, taking babies, chopping their heads off.
Again, piece of propaganda that I'm simply not buying.
Putting it on camera.
They didn't put it on camera.
People celebrate it in the streets. And it
Wait, which celebrations are we referring to?
sickens us, and it should. But the American Hamas, called Planned Parenthood,
Oh my God, dude, come on. Now he's veering right into abortion bad. This is a joke, man. BLM's an organization not worth supporting. I agree. 100%. BLM is an organization that is not worth supporting. I do not like it as an organization. As a movement, they're not terrorists. The organization is a little scammy and bad.
people celebrate it in the streets. And it sickens us, and it should. But the American Hamas, called Planned Parenthood,
The American Hamas. Well, you know what this means, right? This means that Greg is prepared to justify killing anybody that, you know, he deems to be in favor of abortion because they're terrorists, and terrorists are worthy of being killed no matter what. He hasn't said the "and thus worthy of death" part yet. He said it in another clip, but we'll get to it and see what happens here.
can butcher babies, chop their heads off, have pictures of it released in court and on the internet.
That none of that happened.
And look,
Like literally none of that. What is he talking? Is he talking about Hamas, or is he talking about Planned Parenthood? Neither of those things happened.
low down, sorry, good-for-nothing fake Christians will stand up in church and say, well, this is just a woman's right to choose. And
Oh, okay. He's talking about Planned Parenthood. Yeah, that didn't happen. That's made up. Anyway, let me know what you think about this dude in the comments. This is bizarre to me, man. I just can't.